Welcome to the CEO Shift with your host, Shawndel Spader, owner and CEO of Spader Group. In this series, you'll hear fast, focused conversations with business leaders and experts who've made the real shift it takes to scale past the plateau. Each episode delivers high-impact insights designed to help you cut through the noise, make smarter decisions, and lead with clarity.
Hello and welcome to the CEO Shift. I am extremely excited to have Jess Haney here with us today. While Jess was growing up, she was certain she'd spend her career in education, and she followed that path for 13 years. She earned her master's degree in educational leadership and was preparing for principal interviews when an unexpected yet exciting opportunity came her way. Jess's best friend and a colleague of hers asked her to join them in starting a marketing agency, stepping in as the director of operations. She had no background in marketing, but she knew she could build systems and run things efficiently. So, with three young kids at home, Jess took a leap of faith and said, "Yes, let's do it. How hard can it be?" Jess, I can't wait to hear your answer to that question. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
yes. I have to say, when I read, like, yes, let's do it. How hard can it be? I was like, oh my gosh, the famous lines of so many CEOs, right?
Right? Exactly. And reflecting, I had more, even with three little kids, I had more energy back then than than I do now. Isn't that funny?
That I think that's a whole different podcast, but yes, it is funny.
Okay, good.
I don't
So
think
how
we have,
hard could it be?
right?
Hard, right? It is hard. But it's been fun, very rewarding.
Well, that's awesome. I can't wait. Let's dive right in. I want to
Absolutely.
hear about really where do you want to focus our conversation today? You know, you're from your background, your zone of genius, area of expertise, all of it. What are we focusing on today?
Um, that's great. Let's talk about my zone of genius.
Excellent. I love it. As we dive in, again, like I am so intrigued by your background. So I don't know why I'm stumbling
Yeah,
here,
we can
but I
talk
am.
about that first.
I'm intrigued.
It
Well, no, I'm
paves
intrigued by
the
your
path.
background with the teaching aspect, and then I mean, it's a totally different shift, right? And how exciting! Just
It
let's
was. No, it was. So yeah, let's talk about that because it is weird. And it is super weird to have interviews lined up for a job and then just say, deuces, I'm out, right? Like, and for a whole year I had people calling me like, you've really left? Like you're not coming back. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm really gonna try this. So um what did my background teach me in education, right? It taught me how to deal with people. It taught me deadlines. It taught me management. It taught me organization, dealing with conflict. So all of those things were really transferable, and it transferred much quicker than I even thought it would. I started the business. It was kind of Jess is just going to do ops, make sure the bookkeeping's good, make sure we have IT, that kind of thing. And my role has really morphed. I manage probably eight or nine of my own clients. So I'm a project manager, account lead. I do tons of copywriting, research, business development, all. And then, as we've gained employees, I've managed all that HR stuff too. So, like anything else, if you want to learn it, and you work hard, and you ask questions, I really surrounded myself when I started the business, just asking people and relying on accountants and people who had been in it before to give me good advice and to listen to that advice. Business owners are not alone, or they shouldn't be. I
all
don't know.
right,
I don't
right.
know if you can do it. It's funny. We work with some people who are sole proprietors, and I don't know how they do it. I think it's
Mhm.
it's lonely at the top anyway, and even lonelier as a sole proprietor. So
Yeah.
uh, just surrounding myself. Unfortunately, I taught Sunday school for 5 years after I left education, and now my kids have aged out of that too. So I don't get to teach too often, but I do miss that. But but not. I'm glad I left.
But not enough to change it. I like
Not
it.
enough
I
to go
like it.
back. My husband rolled over my teacher pension, so I am locked into this profession now. That's the last step, right?
I love it. I love it. Well, but I think that teaching background, I mean, it's all the points that you just said is like what it has taught you along the way. That's interchangeable.
hmm
Industry, like, whatever path that takes you down, those are things that kind of become that core. right?
Yeah,
And if we have that core of I can do these things very, very well, product or the service, it's not that it doesn't matter, but it kind of doesn't matter, right? Like it just, we apply those values, we apply what we know, and we figure out what the vehicle is and what the differences are.
absolutely. And then really that goes into my zone of genius, right? So my strengths in the classroom, in the business, a calming nature and
Mhm.
decision making and pulling things across the finish line, just thinking, um, first of all, I always like to make decisions, right? And people say it. I know it's cliche or whatever, no decision is a bad decision or whatever that saying is.
Yeah.
But truly in business, that has been really important for us is just going ahead, taking the leap, making a decision, good and bad, sticking with it,
Yeah.
figuring out if it is a bad decision, and then pulling people or projects or campaigns across the finish line because we are a service business. So if we
Yeah.
don't do that, we don't get paid. So I have a lot of patience and I have a pretty good memory.
Hmm.
It's getting worse as I age, but just remembering deadlines and saying, okay, let's all these pieces, let's make sure we have this
Yeah.
complete on
And all the
time
tools and systems we can apply to make our
and
brains
all
look magical. I mean,
right. It's thank goodness.
yep.
And I'm an
Yeah.
obsessive note taker and post-it note gal and checklists and all those things.
Let's see. I have 5 post-it notes sitting right here
Right?
in my
That's good.
line
It
of sight for
works.
things that need to happen this like today or this week. So
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. So you touched on, being able to pull folks like across that finish line.
Hmm.
And I think this is where, that piece, what I heard was not pushing, right? You're not pushing them across the finish line. You're pulling. And I just
Yes,
wanted to call
yes.
that out because I think those two words or those two directions or aspects are very, very different. I feel like when we're pulling them, we're like saying, come with me. Like,
Hmm.
I'll hold your hand. I've got your back. I'm going to be here right alongside you. When you're pushing them across the finish line, you're like, here, go, deal with it.
Right.
So I think that's a really key aspect or differentiator between how you support people and how you show up for them. And I think that actually ties right into your teaching because as you're pulling, as you're guiding, you're teaching them how to do it. And I
It's
think that's really, really
exactly.
beautiful.
Exactly. And they make fun of me a little bit out in the studio because I pull a chair up. And just
Yes.
like I did in my olden days, I leave my coffee. I can never find my coffee because I leave it on someone's desk. I leave my
Yes.
chair behind. I leave my stuff behind. It is really that is something that's just kind of second nature to me. I enjoy that.
Mhm.
But yes, you're exactly right.
That's part of we like to lead with um, teaching, training, coaching, guidance, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter the word, but one of our key factors of working with folks is to really walk the path alongside and wanting to teach as we go along. Like clients have questions all the time. What does this mean? What does that look like? I've got a report. Is this just for the IRS? Like, no, it's definitely not just, yes, it's for them, but not
Yes,
just for
but
them. Right, right. There's
right.
so much more you can do with it between here and tax
Absolutely.
day.
Yeah.
And, it's getting that message across to help people not do business alone, as we kind of kicked off with, right?
Yeah, and that's hard.
That that loneliness at the top, it's real. And I think it's talked about, but maybe not always talked about as much as it could be, or in the light of it doesn't have to be lonely. It doesn't have to be isolating. But that is a huge, huge piece of, again, we have to make all the decisions. Those solopreneurs, I might own Spader Group completely solo, but I certainly don't run this place solo, right? Like,
Hmm.
and for you guys too, like you guys have the partnerships and I don't know. I love that you touched on that because that space of loneliness is it's something to overcome and it doesn't have to be I'm getting into business with someone else officially, but really truly surrounding yourself by folks who want to pull you across that finish line
And
and
so
do
many
all of
people
those
do.
things.
That's,
Yeah.
another thing I've learned is people really want to support new businesses, local
Yeah.
businesses. You just have to put yourself out there. The
Well, and
community
even,
is very nice.
yes, and even within the same industry. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the things over the years that's been the most eye-opening is I've received some of the best advice from folks that technically would be considered competition.
Right.
And instead of looking at it as competition, I've always kind of had that aspect of it's collaboration.
Yeah.
I hope I've helped somebody else in this industry. I really do. Like I want to be open and share and do all of those things. And that's really what it's all about. My marketing person this morning was asking me a whole bunch of questions, and I was like, "Oh man, you're making me really think deep." And she's like, "No, I'm just asking you to speak from your heart." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like,
I
"Oh
can
yeah,
do
you're right.
that.
That's not different." So,
Yeah.
well, speaking of
Great.
things that we're passionate about, what is
Yes.
something right now that CEOs, agency owners, business owners, what do they need to be thinking about or something that you feel passionate about sharing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, something, just for our agency, we are three equal owners, three equal partners. And what we have found challenging as we have grown a staff is just being clear who your leader is, or how does all that work? Who do you ask for PTO? Who do you get approval on for that project? Like we were very confusing for our employees.
Yeah.
And at one point, we were asking for all approval to go through all three of us. And it was like,
Ooh,
well, what, why for all the things, like a dentist appointment, like
yeah.
that's crazy. So that
Right.
is something that we have tried to work on is we can all three be the leader. We can all three be the boss, but let's be very clear of who does what and who has last say on this, and this, because we don't all need to chime in on someone's dentist appointment.
Right.
Right. And then along those same lines, like so many other people, looking at our days and thinking, what on earth can we offboard? What can be done by an employee, by a contractor, by AI, that is efficient and time saving? And it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to trust people, and we all have our certain ways of doing things.
Yeah.
Just because someone does something different doesn't mean it's wrong. Um,
Right. Right.
and
Yep.
AI is moving so fast, it is hard to explore it all, but taking the time to sit back and just because I've been doing it this way for so long doesn't mean it's the right way. My way works, but being open to that. So I guess, kind of to summarize, it's just clarity from the business structure with my people, and then looking at what can I get off my plate to do things that I either love or does need my full brain capacity. And that's how I found you, right? That's how I found the Spader group.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But it is, I mean, it's something that I think CEOs don't always pay attention to. They hear it. Some part of the brain is saying, gosh, you should really do this, but then they don't know where to start or they don't know who to ask or it the idea of diving into finding a solution for it takes away from something
It
greater that's,
does.
really truly on fire or more pressing or generates revenue today versus I could set this aside and, do this for a moment to figure it out. So, um, yeah, I think I want to touch back to the clarity on the leadership.
Yeah.
And we've struggled with the same thing. So full transparency, we'll record it even. But like we've struggled in that same space, right? I am CEO and owner, but I'm also the salesperson and I can't necessarily be in all of the team conversations. Years ago is when we hired to have somebody actually managing our account
Mhm.
managers and such because I wasn't available to them. I wasn't just
Right.
sitting here at my desk. I was, pre-COVID, right? Out doing appointments and
Right.
networking and all of those things. And thankfully we're back to that. But, I mean, I wasn't always here and available, which meant the team was waiting on me. That
Mm.
wasn't fair to
Oh,
them. It
we
wasn't
talk
fair to the
about that all the
clients.
time. Yeah. That's so
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah, and then to not have it clear and having to go through multiples, like what a great realization for you guys to have like, wait, let's get real clear about these lanes. And I think that's really encouraging. And I just anybody who's struggling in that space, like hands down, being really clear about who's responsible for what. We have an operations person here who's been here for the last
Hmm.
couple of years now, and that's probably when one of our greatest shifts of anytime I have a crazy new idea. And she works it out with me to the point of like, oh, okay, we're going to actually implement this one of 38.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what are the responsibilities? And like she comes in and has that like we need this, and this from the structural standpoint. And
Hmm.
I am so very grateful because that's not my space. I totally agree with it. I see the value in it. That's not how my brain works. So I'm really grateful for that. And I think it's a huge thing to call out. And I'm grateful that my team does think that way. They help a lot of our clients stay accountable in that space as well. So
Yeah.
really
And
good call out.
honestly, when we started the business, you start a business for, for many reasons, but one of the reasons is we wanted to do it differently than all the work environments we'd been in, whatever
Yeah.
our backgrounds
Yep.
were. So there were certain like processes we were like, oh, we hated that. We hated timesheets. We didn't do timesheets. We do timesheets now religiously, but asking for leave, all of that 2 weeks in advance, we were we just had a big aversion to so many of those things in the beginning
Yeah.
until we started evolving. It's like, oh, that's why those processes were in place.
Right.
We can
Right. We
do
have to
them
learn it the hard
differently
way
than our past
sometimes.
experiences, but
Yeah.
yeah, people need clarity, clients and employees.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, I would love to hear a specific story, a mindset shift, kind of a strategy, something that you'd like to highlight for the conversation today, just from your own perspective of kind of what's that mindset shift that would be beneficial for CEOs
Oh my
in growing their
goodness. A
business.
story, huh? Did I come up with a story already?
You did.
I did. Women own business. That's been an interesting one. And that's a curious one for me because I am not always girl power. I believe we've worked hard and the only thing that has been kind of interesting for us as we've grown in the business is that it's still a women-owned business is still kind of viewed differently. And we had to overcome, not so much now, we're 8 years in, but in the beginning, it was really kind of seen as a hobby
Yep.
to outsiders, like, oh, so you're going to bring your kids to work. And it's like, well, yes, my kids have come to the office with me, right? But no, my kids went to daycare and
Right, right.
and there is still that uh working mom balance that I think we all
Mhm.
struggle with. There is no answer, there is no balance. I think we all just figure it out. You got to figure out what works for you, and you need to give yourself mental outlets. I like to exercise. I mean, we need to do things besides work and kids and husbands. But that was really eye opening, and maybe to me, where I was in a women dominated field my whole career,
Right,
and
right.
then I'm not anymore. But it was just it was interesting that still in 2026, a women owned business is still kind of like, oh, you're all women, and we have one male employee, and he gets, what's it like working for women all the time, there's still, and I
Yep.
think he likes it. He'll listen. I'll let him chime in, but it is still something that is spoken about and unique to people.
it My husband is the only male on our team. We've only had one other male on our team. And he was in college and kind of in an intern kind of role. Um, but my poor husband, we joke that we keep him in the dungeon because his office happens to be downstairs. It's not the
Uh-huh.
dungeon, I promise. It's very plush.
Sure.
Right, right. Don't mind the sound of the chains. Never mind. Um, but no, I mean, we do joke, I mean, and the accounting world isn't it's not typical that it's only women. We just happen
Right.
to only have women. And I think that's
Okay.
because of, how we're structured and being virtual and all of those kinds of
Yeah.
things. Um, but yeah, I mean, I see it, I hear it. And I'm with you on and I always feel bad when I say this, so I guess I'll record this one too, because we're like full transparency today.
Sure.
Um, but while I appreciate all of the hard work that has gone into recognizing women in the workforce and all of those things, like I have boys too, right? I have a daughter, I have
I do
sons.
too. Right.
I don't want anybody stomping over my sons to better themselves, right? I want to find that equality truly,
Correct. I'm
not
with
I've
you.
put
Right.
this gender down so I can rise above. And so that's where my struggle is with that
Mm-hmm.
as well. I appreciate women-owned organizations, agencies, businesses. Um, we are one.
Right. I don't ever want to be on anyone's team though, just for that reason.
No, correct.
And that does
Correct.
happen. And that
Yep.
happens in a lot of industries that we work with.
Yeah.
But yeah, we want to be on the team because we're smart and we do what we say we're going to do and we do good work.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
Yep.
was
Can't exclude them if we want to be equal to them, right? Like that was always kind of my thing. Like if we want to be equal, then we need to show up together and I don't know, do it
right.
together.
Do it together. Everything's
Yeah.
better together. Yeah. We
Yeah,
love all people.
exactly. 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 Well, Jess, this has been wonderful. If folks want to get in touch with you, learn more about Kismet Marketing and,
Yes.
all of those, how would they get in touch with you?
My email is jess@kismet-marketing.com, and that is also our website. And we are on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn.
Excellent. We will have all of those links as well here in the show notes for people to be able to click on easily. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you
the
for
time
having
today. This was
me.
great.
This was
Yes.
wonderful.
Thanks for joining us for the CEO Shift. If today's conversations challenged your thinking or helped you see your business differently, it's time to put what you learned into action. If you want practical guidance on making better CEO level decisions, download the CEO Decision Guide now. This framework is what leaders use to stop spinning their wheels and start scaling with clarity. Download your free copy at spadergroup.com/CEO-guide and start making decisions like a CEO today. We'll see you next time on the CEO Shift.